This is Jablam Hockey with your hosts, Peter Wojcicki and Paul Swinbeck. Welcome to Jablam Hockey, folks. I'm your host, Peter Wojcicki. You can find me on Twitter at Russian98, and I'm with
Paul Swinbeck. You can find me at Swambag, ZWAMBAG. How's it going, everybody? Peter, what's up?
Not much. Waking up from my nap, actually, kind of a few hours ago, my usual. Working a lot more than lately than before. So it's keeping me busy, which is good.
Good. Work
Not
is
much.
Always good.
Like, I was working Tuesday, of course, and we had the special at City for the U.S. election. Everybody was shocked. I'm not so shocked at Mr. Trump winning. But it was a very long day at work. And, yeah, it was surprising and bad for a lot of people that Trump won. But another bad thing that happened was the Leaf game. And the good thing was I was so busy I didn't have to watch the massacre of the Kings beating the Leafs.
Yeah, embarrassing.
Yeah. But you're going to expect it from the kids. Somebody at work asked me, what do you think's going to happen tonight, Kings or Leafs? And I said, I really have no clue. Because they're playing really well right now, and they're good, and I think they could win tonight. But, again, they're young, and their vets are still not very good defensively, I would say. So they could get destroyed. And it's one or the other, and they did get destroyed. So, well, at least I was busy that night.
It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back from that.
Yeah, they're playing, as we record this podcast on Thursday night, they're playing, I believe, Philly on Friday night. So that'll be an interesting matchup game.
And then they play the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yes, they do. They play the Penguins on Saturday, right?
Would you like to make a bet, Peter?
Oh my God!
Pittsburgh
So
versus Toronto?
You want me to bet for my Leafs on a back-to-back against the Penguins, who are on fire?
Yeah, I'll spot you 2 goals.
2 goals.
So you'll be +2, and you get the tie. So we got to win by 3.
All right. I'll take it then. You give me 2. I'll take it.
All right.
Friendly bet.
Putting it on Jablam. Putting it on
there
the
you go. But as Paul knows, I'm kind of more on the fence of maybe I still want the Leafs to lose because I don't expect them to do that much, even if they sneak into the playoffs this year. I'd rather the Leafs, again, go for another top 5 strong kid for the future. I'm hoping Leafs can, if they do go, collapse and, get a good pick, maybe a good solid defenseman. That's what I would like. But all right, let's get into it.
First, Peter, talking about the bounce back. Did you see what Babcock did in the Leafs practice, the MasterCard Center?
I know.
The power went out, and they
skated.
He's like, we can still skate in the dark, and he still skated him. He bag skated him. That's awesome. Babcock's a badass.
In the dark. Was it Coach Bombay? Didn't he do that too or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Mighty Ducks?
Are you comparing the Leafs with the Mighty Ducks? Because the Mighty Ducks would kill the Leafs.
I don't think so. These Leafs are up-and-comers too, and they're going to look good in the future.
Luis Mendoza would skate up and down the ice faster than any one of those guys. So
I'm pretty sure Anderson's better than Goldberg.
Questionable.
All right. But who would win? Who would win out of the Bash Brothers and like a Matt Martin? I don't know. I think that's almost a tie.
2 against 1. I think the Bash Brothers would win 2 against 1. Who would Matt Martin team up with to go 2-on-2 to be a tag team?
That's tough. You got a gritty Komarov, or you got one of the big guys like Polak.
Oh, I saw Komarov try to fight the other night. No,
No. He did not try to fight.
He got jumped. Yeah, I know.
Yes, he got jumped, and then we know the whole story. That game was crazy.
But that's how the Fulton brothers would do it, or the Bash brothers would do it. They would jump guys. So
if Polak was on the ice, he would have taken it to them. So
hey, Peter, let's get into the show.
Yeah, let's do this. So if you haven't been following us on JablamHockey.com, make sure you are going there because Paul is still killing it with this Saturday's picks. What'd you do last week?
I think 9-2. I think it was.
I think you got 9-2. I got 8-3. So I had a decent week. I'm back above 500. You're like I think you're at like 70%.
Yeah, 23-11 on the season. So
wow,
yeah,
folks, if you need help making picks, especially on Saturday nights, ask Paul. He's killing it, and I don't expect it to change anytime soon.
Or
we'll see what happens.
Go to jablamhockey.com. We put it up Friday nights.
Yep, they're going to be there right as soon as you watch this podcast.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to finally start putting up blogs. I wrote a really short, crappy one about my NHL 17 acquiring of the game, you could say, or how much of a struggle it was for me. So that blog's going to go up, and then I'll hopefully write a new one soon about my review of playing the game online. We're going to try to post a few of them every month. So you can check our blogs on there as well as our Saturday's picks. So what do we have this episode? We're going to team ISO, the Minnesota Wild. Our guest today is Bob Spencer. You can, again, catch him on Twitter, at Boba Fenwick, I believe. We have Fantasy Up and Down with Paul. We did a poll on Twitter. We're going to talk about that later. Which rookie do you think is going to be the best? And then we also have some trades and signings we're going to talk about, and Paul will finish up with some injury updates. But first, trending now. Paul, is Las Vegas finally going to release a team name?
Yeah, they're down to 3. They registered 3 names.
Yeah.
So just to throw everybody off. They already got a color scheme. I didn't know that, but they have a color scheme already.
What's color scheme? Do you know?
Black, gold, and silver.
Interesting.
Which kind of works with the 3 names because it's either the Desert Knights, the Silver Knights, or the Golden Knights. Bill Foley, the owner of the Las Vegas team, really wanted a dual name. He wanted Las Vegas and then 2 words for a name. And he really liked the Knights, so now he's got to figure out what kind of Knights he wants, a golden, a silver, or a desert.
So they're going to reveal the name, I believe it's 5:30 p.m. November 22nd. I believe it's their time at the Toshiba Plaza, and it's free admission for any Vegas fans and people in the area. They should go and check it out. I think like Bettman's going to be there and stuff like that.
That would make sense that it would be their time because it'd be weird to do it at 2:30.
Yes, that would be a little too early.
3:30, yeah. So it'll be 7:30 our time. They're 2 hours.
Yeah,
7:30.
Like I believe so. I really think it's Desert Knights. I think it's done.
Really?
I don't know. I think it makes the most sense too. It's very different, and it'll fit them better. What I don't like is because it's a double name. Is it going to be the Las Vegas, so LVDK? Like, how are you breaking that down on a stat sheet too? Like, that's so weird. Like, I'm guessing you're gonna do Las Vegas and then just the first, or a night. I think the night would make more sense than the actual color name of the team, right? I don't know. It's very confusing. It would have been better if it was just the Knights, but I guess they didn't want to do that, right?
Well, and I don't know if they had troubles with the London Knights having the copyright in Canada, so whenever they came to Canada, but they said they didn't end up having any issues, like London never even brought it up, but yeah, the OHL London Knights have a lot of fans everywhere, so
yeah.
I actually think it's going to be the Golden Knights.
Yeah.
After I saw the color scheme, and we'll put the color scheme on the game notes, I'll put a link in there for everybody. But the color scheme, it looks like gold is going to be the prominent color.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have the Bruins, the Penguins, and Las Vegas, the Knights.
Yeah.
The
I still like the Black Aces. I don't know why they do. I understand it's a little bit more related to gambling, but again, to me, it's the Black Aces, so the Fighter Jets, but as well being named like an NHL backup practice team during the playoffs. That's where it's derived from. In my opinion, Black Aces would have been really cool. But you know what? The Knights are fine, and I don't know. I kind of like Desert Knights as well.
Why not just Aces, the Las Vegas Aces?
Yeah, you could do that. I'm just saying with Black Aces, that's actually the name of, the the practice team during the playoffs and the fighter jets.
So you're basically saying they're going to be a practice team during the playoffs.
Well, you know what? Yeah, at least for the early going.
True.
All right.
True.
All right. So what else is trending right now? It's the Hockey Hall of Fame inductees. They are Sergei Makarov, Eric Lindros, Pat Quinn, Rogie Vachon, and as well being honored is Sam Rosen for winning the Foster Hewitt Memorial Award as an outstanding contributor as a broadcaster, and as well Bob Verdi winning the Elmer Ferguson Memorial Award for excellence in journalism. So congratulations to all 6 of them. I, as a little kid, already watching hockey, was a big fan of Makarov. Seeing a Russian come here on the ice, I think it was 1989, and he was outstanding. We're going to put on the game notes a great article that they posted on NHL.com about Makarov and a few of the players. But I remember, when I was reading the article, Gary Roberts was saying, the first thing I remember is walking to his apartment that he had this tiny 100-square-foot room with just a little sitting area, and it was all full of all his crystals that he had won. So basically, he had like a billion little awards, what he accomplished in Russia. Of course, being known for the KML line with Krutov and Larionov, Russia was such a dominant team, and he was the main factor, you could say, of that. And I believe Roberts even was quoted of saying he was like the I'm not sure who said. Somebody was saying that he was the Wayne Gretzky of Russia. But also I think Roberts said that he played very similar to Jágr, using his reach and his lower body to get him positionally better and make plays.
Yeah, that he deserves it, definitely.
Yeah, he did a lot even before he came to the NHL. And of course, the crazy thing is him winning the Calder at the age of 31 or whatever when he came was hilarious. So that's why they changed it to 26. People are already mad that it's even that old right now. But he did a lot, and so did everybody else. Did you want to say anything about?
Just Eric Lindros, pretty much the same kind of storyline that you grew up watching Makarov as a kid on. Lindros was definitely one of the ones that I enjoyed watching. The Legion of Doom in Philadelphia, that was always a fun line to watch. But a little bit of controversy coming into the NHL with the whole not wanting to play in Quebec, and I think that had a lot to do with his parents and not as much to do with him. Mm-hmm. But he definitely had a great career. It was definitely cut short, I believe.
Yeah,
and maybe not cut short, but his good years were cut short, and it's kind of too bad. But thank you, Scott Stevens, for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and he brought a lot of concussion issues and.
Yeah, he's still working on that with the NHL and stuff. So that's good. All right, what else is trending now? Well, they just released the Winter Classic jerseys for the Blues and Hawks. Paul, I know you don't care so much about that. I like looking at the cool new jerseys. But these ones are very basic looking. There's nothing special about them. Anything you want to say?
I like the Blues over the Blackhawks. Blackhawks are just same old, like change a little bit of the striping or the pattern, or the logo looks a little older. We need new teams in the Winter Classic.
Yeah.
I think it's just too many outdoor games.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it before. It would be just nice if there was just one Winter Classic every year, and then every once in a while you can have a random game, but just one Winter Classic. Why can't we just do that?
Well, and it washes out the whole event. Like, the alumni is all washed out because we watched these guys 2 or 3 years ago. Like, the same guys are coming back to play.
Yeah. Apparently, Gretzky, I heard on Twitter that Gretzky was going to be at the alumni game. Everybody was saying that he was never going to play an outdoor game. And then when he finally played the Classic, Heritage Classic game, it was like, okay, and he even mentioned, this is probably my last one kind of thing. And now he's going to this one. So I don't know. There's a little bit too many outdoor games, and yeah, even maybe the jerseys are getting kind of stale because we're seeing maybe the same teams as well. And then also was leaked was the Leafs jersey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ugly.
I don't know what to say about this thing. Like, why even put like a big, huge white stripe on top of a white logo?
Yeah.
Whose idea was that? Like, I have no words.
Yeah, it's awful. They messed up. Hopefully it's fake. It's not.
That's
real.
what I'm hoping. I'm really hoping that it's not the real jersey that they're going to use. And maybe this is why it's a good thing to sometime leak a jersey, see the output, and then make some tweaks. I hope that is that. It needs more piping. You can't put white on white. I don't know. They added the silver, but not very good. Not very good at all.
No.
And time for this week's segment of Team ISO. This week we're Team ISOing the Minnesota Wild. And like we did last year, we went into a different team every week, isolating, talking about one specific team for, 15, 20 minutes. I know you're tired of Paul and my opinions on this. You can check them all out on jablamhockey.com. But this year we have guests. So this week's our guest is Bob Spencer. You can follow him on Twitter at Boba Fenwick. Mr. Spencer currently has a podcast and writes on his own blog, #hockey. You can find it on #hockey.com. And your podcast, you also have a partner named Dan, right?
That's right. Yep. Our normal record day is Thursday. First of all, hello, how's it going? You've got it exactly right. Our normal record day is Thursday, but Dan is taking a little bit of a vacation. So we're off this week. I'll probably do something small later in this week, but we're going to get back on track soon.
Perfect.
Primarily sort of focusing on the podcast. I just haven't been super, super busy with a lot of other stuff and haven't done a ton of writing lately. So mostly podcasting for now.
Nice. And you also have articles on your website too. And we will post his Twitter account and his website on jablamhockey.com with our game notes. So let's get into it. The Wild. They're looking pretty good so far.
So far, so good. Yeah. I mean, they could be doing a little bit better. The last couple of games has been tough. Lost a close game to Colorado. Lost another close game after that. I think it was to Buffalo. Right now, actually, they are in the middle of a stretch where they've got just their first game in 9 days. They played last Tuesday, then not again till tonight. So yeah. I think that's going to,
and they're
I think it's
playing
going to come back to bite them later. I think they're going to have some games later on in the season where other teams are resting. And so, anyway, they're playing real well. Their shooting percentages are just off the charts right now. I mean, they're playing well, but they're playing really lucky. So fans are a little bit nervous. After a couple of games like recently, we're kind of a little bit tentative as to whether or not they're going to keep up this level of play or if they're going to have to adapt. They kind of have been real hot and cold. They'll look really, really good, then they'll look quite bad, or they'll have a real bad first period, and then Boudreau will light into them, and they'll turn it around and come back and win the game. So far, so good. Fans are liking what they're seeing, but it's all kind of predicated on some real good puck luck so far in the season.
We're recording this on a Thursday night. Currently, the Wild are playing the Penguins. So, Bob, you really want the Wild to win, right?
I'd say so, yeah.
Oh,
and Paul, who do you want to win?
The Penguins. So we're going to headbutt here.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah, I'm a big Penguins fan. So
nice. Well, the game's going on right now. I'm not sure. I watched the first period, but I'm not watching it now. So
we're tied 2-2.
Yeah.
Yep. Looking pretty good so far. How do you like Dubnyk's play so far this year? And I don't know, kind of coming out of nowhere to be playing really well for the Wild.
Yeah, Dubnyk's playing really well. He's done this. He's sort of showed not quite this level before, but he's been very solid for us in the past. Very dependable, not quite as up and down as some of the other players that we've had, particularly Backstrom. Later in his career. I wish we could. It's a timing thing. I mean, we are at the middle of November.
Yeah.
They've got just about a dozen games under their belt, so it's hard to make real definitive conclusions on any of the stats. One thing you forgot to mention, I'm a big stats guy.
Yes.
Big into the analytics, fancy stats. I've been involved in that for about 4 years, 5 years now. So it's hard to make any conclusions. I did a little bit of digging. Dubnyk is definitely playing well. He's playing above league average. There was a kind of an interesting graphic that they showed on the Wild broadcast there in the first period that I got to see. They mapped out his save percentage by kind of like zones on the ice, and for every single zone, he's higher than league average.
Nice.
So yeah, playing really well. Team's playing pretty well in front of him. They're not doing as well maybe as they should be in terms of possession. But yeah, especially on the penalty kill. Dubnyk, I think right now is their best penalty killer. So he's playing well. I think some of his numbers are a bit inflated. I think they'll come down a bit. His even strength save percentage right now, and this is before tonight's game, was something like 958, I want to say, which is fantastic. But he's not going to keep that up. That's not going to last for the whole season. So, like I say, a lot of the success that this team is having is thanks to the percentages. Dubnyk's not exactly any different, but he is playing better than he has. Certainly, looking at the numbers over the last couple of years since he's been with the Wild. Are you guys familiar with like high danger, medium, and low danger shots?
A little bit. Where can you go and find these kind of fancy stats, especially for goaltenders? Because I'm not too familiar, especially with the goaltender fancy stats.
Right. So Corsica.hockey is the one that I use right now.
Okay.
It's sometimes has some performance issues. I actually was in the middle of doing some research tonight, and I don't know if it crashed. I've had browser problems with it too, but Corsica.hockey is a great one. It's been this kind of deal. I don't know, and I'm not sure if you guys have covered this, but it's like every year, kind of the best stats website, the person who made it gets snatched up by a team.
Yes.
So it's
We've
different
mentioned
every single
stuff
year.
like that before. Yeah.
It's really frustrating. And I will say, for people, I'm not sure if your listeners will know this, but the folks that did War on Ice are now consulting for the Wild. So you have us to blame for that one going down. But anyway, Corsica.hockey is one that I use. That's a really great one. It takes a little bit of time to get the menus figured out and to get the right data that you want to see, but particularly for goalies, that's the one that I recommend.
Okay, perfect.
So in each of these three danger zones, basically they're called. So there's low danger, which is the real perimeter shots, medium danger, which is kind of the home plate area, and then high danger, which is really, low slot, kind of right in front of the goal. Dubnyk is outperforming his numbers over the last couple of years in all three zones. So obviously we want to see that continue. I think he's playing a little bit, maybe not above his head necessarily. I just think it's a little bit unsustainable and it's going to come back down a little bit. And again, but like I say, and I hate to do this because on the one hand, we're sort of obligated when we look at these numbers. We got to bring up the sample size. It would be a disservice to try to make real conclusions based on these.
Short term. Yeah.
But having said that, these numbers are just unsustainable. So they're going to come down a bit. That doesn't mean the team's going to crash. It doesn't mean they're headed for a tailspin or anything like that. Lord knows the Wild have had enough of that the last couple of years. So I think some of these numbers are a little bit higher, but overall I really do like the way the team's playing, and I do like the way Dubnyk is playing, especially on the penalty kill.
Do you know by chance who's the worst goalie in the NHL with the low percentage type shots?
So
that would be hilarious to know. Like, this guy keeps on letting off these horrible shots.
I saw a tweet earlier, just right before the show, and it was very adjusted. Like, I don't like to use a lot of adjusted stats because I feel like they're sort of confusing. I don't always feel like people know really what they mean. But having said that, I saw a tweet that ranked all of the goaltenders based on this kind of it was adjusted save percentage. The worst goaltender in the league is Semyon Varlamov right now.
Wow.
So.
And yeah, some people have said stuff like that before, I've heard. So
yeah.
All right. Well, let's get a little bit more into the Wild here. In terms of off-season acquisitions, how do you feel with Eric Staal fitting in on the lineup so far?
So far, really, really good. I'm kind of in this weird spot where, and I didn't do a ton of off-season coverage. I didn't write a ton or do a lot of podcasting, but I was really, really, really happy about the Eric Staal signing because for the last year plus, the last year and change, the biggest thing that folks have said that the Wild need is a number one center. Koivu's really good. I like Koivu a lot. He's maybe starting to get past his prime a little bit, and so we were looking for a number one center. And then off the street, literally, comes Eric Staal off a career worst year. We got a really team-friendly contract for this guy. He's come in, and performed. His puck luck, I think, has definitely rebounded. He had a really terrible year last year in terms of the percentages and things like that. So he's doing really well. Plus, I also think he's got a chip on his shoulder, which always helps.
Yeah.
But Stahl's been doing great. Stepped
Perfect.
in, playing really well at even strength. Centering, typically, he was centering Parisi and Coyle before Parisi got hurt. Now it's been shifted a little bit. Tonight, Stahl is centering Coyle and Niederreiter. Seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah, he's got 2 assists already tonight.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of stuck in the spot where I was so pro Eric Stahl that even to myself, I almost feel like I'm a little bit biased, or I'm kind of, I got him on my fantasy team. I'm watching him every night. I'm watching the stats. Love what he's doing. It's just I feel like I'm past the objectivity part for Eric Stahl, trying to be objective, but it's hard. So having said that, he's playing really, really well. Coming in, definitely helped out the power play quite a bit. The Wild is kind of middle of the pack right now in terms of power play. Their conversion percentage, they're pretty much in the middle of the pack, maybe slightly above average in terms of their shooting rates, which is not always a great power play metric. But anyway, Stahl's come in and helped even strength power play. I think he's chipping in a little bit on the penalty kill, not quite as much. So yeah, just thrilled. Just couldn't be more happy with Eric Stahl right now. I think we've got him on a 3-year contract, and so far so good. Whether we'll see him regress a little bit or show his age a little bit, I don't know. But so far so good. We couldn't really have asked anything more of him, particularly with the big. So the pattern for the Wild the last couple of years has been Stahl's obviously not from Minnesota. We had Vanek coming back, Heatley coming back. There's these really massive expectations for these guys, and they just didn't fulfill them. Obviously Vanek's contract was bought out last year, and so I was a little bit afraid that Stahl was going to fall into that trap, and it seems like he hasn't. But again, it's only been a dozen games. But all systems go so far. He's just excellent skater, excellent positioning, anticipation, all of it. He seems to be making players around him better too. So yeah, couldn't really ask more for Eric Stahl for this team for now. And then fingers crossed they'll make the playoffs, and we'll maybe draw on some of that experience as well, because that's something else that this team could benefit.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought would help the Wild. If they get to the playoffs, he's going to help them push with some more experience and leadership qualities there. You know who I like on the team? It's Charlie Coyle. Yes. Why is he kind of underrated, under the radar, underrated in the whole NHL?
Coyle does a lot of things well that don't always show up on the stat sheet. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but there's things that he does really well that are, I think, pretty subtle. He's really strong on the puck, very, very strong on the puck. He draws a lot of penalties, which I don't think he gets enough credit at all for. I don't think he gets any credit for his penalty drawing ability. And so just strong puck possessor, strong on the puck. This year especially, seems to be, he's getting a lot more, he's given, like, this is his opportunity. This is his year. He's got first line minutes from the start of the season. He's playing next to, some of the best two-way players in the league. Parisi, Stahl, had been a little bit with Koivu, not so much anymore. Strong net front presence. He's a big guy. He's hard to move around. He's got really good. Even tonight, if you guys will watch there's a highlight from tonight's game where they're on the power play. Ryan Suter throws a slap shot at the net, and Coyle reaches behind him and redirects this puck and tips it in. It's just a beautiful goal. I encourage people to definitely check that out. So yeah, he's doing the things that he needs to do, and he's taking advantage of his opportunities. The thing that I was a little bit worried about with Coyle this year was that he was kind of from the preseason. It was pretty evident that Coyle was going to skate with Stahl and Parisi, who are both pretty much volume shooters. I mean, Parisi wants to shoot the puck. Stahl wants to shoot the puck. My worry was that Coyle was going to defer too much. He was going to overpass. He was going to maybe pass up opportunities for himself, but he doesn't seem to be doing that so far. So just a lot to like there. He's been around it for a while. Just has been getting kind of steadily better and better, and he just does a lot of things well. I'd like to see him contribute a little bit more on the power play. But yeah, just a lot to like there as well for Coyle. He's big fan favorite. One of the things that I like the best, like I say, his penalty drawing ability I think is very underrated. He's giving the team chances to go on the power play, which I'll grant you the Wild have been lousy on the power play. Yeah. So there's that. But Yeah, I just think a little bit underrated. He's the kind of player that does a lot of things well that don't always show up in real fancy highlights other than tonight, or maybe showing up on the stat sheets. So yeah, lots to like there for Charlie Coyle.
So Bob,
Which
earlier you said that they needed a first line center, and Stahl kind of fell into the Wild's lap. Is Eriksson Ek next in line? Is he going to be a first line, do you think?
I mean, next in line, I would say no, just because he's so young.
Okay.
Eriksson Ek, I think he's turning 20 like in January, so super young. I'm glad that you brought him up because that's been one of the real surprises for this team this year. I kind of talked a little bit about how the veterans have been coming in, kind of looking for that strong veteran free agent presence. One of the things that the Wild haven't really had so much lately is a real, just true breakout performance from somebody from within the system. We talked about Coyle, and he's been playing for a while, getting kind of better and better. Niederreiter came into the organization and has been doing well, but maybe needs to take that next step. Eriksson Ek is a guy that just came in from the start, even from preseason, and is doing really well. He's always in the right spot. He's a strong skater, super good positioning, and so definitely excited for what he brings to the table. But I'm not getting ahead of myself because he's so young. The reason that, if we just take a step back, the reason that we kind of got into this needing a number one center discussion was because the guy who was supposed to be in that spot was Mikael Granlund, and he's playing well. He's on the wing now with Koivu and is playing okay, but not really. Maybe he was overhyped a little bit. I'm just tempering my expectations with Eriksson Ek because of some of the things that I've seen lately with with Granlund and some of the other younger guys. Eriksson Ek is doing well. I'm almost certain at this point that they're going to burn his ELC year. I don't know if we're going to see him all season on the Wild club. So I'm just kind of hesitant to say that he's, quote, to use your phrase, to quote unquote next in line, just because he's so young and needs to mature a lot. And they were saying if he wasn't going to make the Wild this year, he was going to go back to Sweden, I think it was. So he wasn't even really slated for AHL work. So I just think he's a little bit too young to kind of put that mantle on him. I'm kind of a broken record, but like what he brings to the table, I just want to see him do it for longer.
So if it's not Eriksson Ek that's going to be the next one to step up this year, who do you think is going to step up this year, or could?
I mentioned Coyle.
Back end.
The team is built a lot differently this year than it has been in previous years. It's really, this has always kind of been a sort of a finesse team that always played a heavy defensive style. Hasn't really ever been super big and strong or defensive or gritty from that perspective. But this year, your Jarrett Stoll's gone, Ryan Carter's gone, Brodziak's been gone a couple of years. The fourth line now is Eriksson Ek, Jason Zucker, and then the other wing has kind of rotated around a little bit. It's been a couple of different guys. I think the LP was in there. So the team construction is much more of a sort of 4 scoring lines team this year. And so anybody could really step it up. I mean, they're kind of in a position where they've got a lot of different opportunities. Excuse me. I think Jason Zucker is a guy that we could see. He's had injury problems. Yeah. This guy is lightning fast. Surprisingly, he plays really, really well on the penalty kill. I'm always astonished when he makes great plays on the PK, just because he doesn't sort of seem like that prototypical penalty killer. He's got great instincts, and he's got fantastic speed, and he's got a rocket of a shot. He's just got a great shot. I'd like to see Zucker step it up. Eriksson Ek is a guy that you'd love to see really contribute because of, like I mentioned, sort of needing somebody to step up from within. But again, only going to turn 20 in a couple of years. I think another guy I would mention is Matt Dumba. If Matt Dumba can take his play to the next level, that's really going to push this team forward. He's been hanging around, doing things pretty well. He's always had just a cannon of a slap shot. I think Dumba this year is he's kind of, at least to my eye, he's getting a little bit better in terms of the things that he does well, but what he's really doing well is he's, I think, eliminating his mistakes. Dumba was a guy that would do a lot of good things, maybe make a huge open ice hit, maybe blast a slap shot from the blue line, but then you see him make a number of mistakes or just look generally lost in the defensive zone or something like that. So I think Dumba is kind of primed. He's also getting, right now Dumba is being paired with Suter on the first line or on the first
Wow.
pair, excuse me, for defense. So he's getting his opportunity. I think that's another guy that could really break out. But I'm also kind of interested just to see what the team dynamic is, because they're in a position where almost anybody could kind of break out. You could even see, this is maybe not a great example, and it sort of is only relative to last year, but Jason Pominville is a guy who is right now skating on the third line. He could sort of, and he had such a terrible slump last year. I think he went, God, I don't even know, like 30 or 35 games before he scored his first goal.
Wow.
But that's a guy that could quote unquote step up, meaning we haven't really gotten a lot of contribution from him lately, but he could show us something this year. So a few different guys, Zucker and Dumba, definitely Coyle come to mind. Also Nino Niederreiter, who is, and everybody over here loves him. We all love Nino Niederreiter. He's just not getting the top 6 minutes that we maybe think that he deserves, maybe slash just if he had more of an opportunity. He's just such a great puck handler, really aggressive toward the net. He loves to just crash the net and really just loves to drive at the goalie. So that's another guy that I think when you sort of talk about guys that you want to see step up, those are the guys like your Dumba and your Zucker, and I think you sort of have your guys that need to step up, and I think that's Coyle and Niederreiter, where they're still young guys. I think both are 23-ish, and both have been around for several years, but kind of need to take that next step up. Is how I would point to those guys.
All right. With this season, how it's going so far, before the season, what were your projections by the end of the year? Where do you think the Wild were going to end up?
I was curiously optimistic this year. A lot of folks. So when we look at their main additions to the team, we got Eric Stahl and then Bruce Boudreau, who we haven't really even talked. Boudreau is probably their largest offseason acquisition, I think. It's pretty fair to say. I thought
it was a good move, too.
Totally shocked. I was really trying not to get my hopes up, and so I was maybe keeping my hopes way low, but I didn't think the Wild had a chance to get him, and so I was just thrilled when Boudreau landed with the Wild. So it's like they've had this team pretty well put together for the last couple of years. The Mike Yeo era had to end. Torchetti didn't really do anything differently. And so it's like, on the one hand, you've got this team that's pretty well constructed. Their window is kind of right now. Like this is their shot. In a couple of years, Parise and Suter are going to get older. They might lose a couple of guys to free agency. There's a few RFA contracts coming up next year. And so I wasn't really sure what to expect. There's a lot of folks that were pessimistic or very much neutral, just like ho-hum, same as last year. But I chose to be bullish on the team this year. I really liked Boudreau coming in, and I really liked Eric Stahl coming in with his possession numbers and his scoring numbers. So, I think the last couple of years they've been a kind of a wild card team. They've made the playoffs, but it's been real shaky. This is the year that I was hoping / expecting for them to play a little bit more consistently, play up to their potential, secure, take one of those top 3 spots, maybe not in the conference, but certainly in the Central Division, which is just a murderer's row of other good teams.
Yeah, that's tough there
but at least for
get
now,
one of those top 3 spots.
Seeing what we're seeing so far out of the Wild, but also kind of, Nashville has faltered a little bit. Colorado didn't rebound like people thought they were going to, or come back like they thought to. So, if at the end of the season they're right up there with Chicago and St. Louis, I think people will be happy. The fan base around here is basically, this team has made the playoffs for the last 3 years, so it's not kind of a whether they make the playoffs. They're expected to make the playoffs. If they don't win their first round, I think that'll be seen as a disappointment. They lost to Dallas last year, and that was kind of, everybody saw it coming, but it was still disappointing. So, we kind of want to see them, like, this is their shot. Their window is open right now. I wouldn't say that it's not one of those things where the window is closing necessarily or rapidly closing, but this is a team that's built to win now, and if they don't really start to really make some waves or really make some noise, I think it's going to be seen as a disappointment.
Yeah. Well, I hope for the best for your Wild. We're going to have to cut this short. We talked a lot. You can get more, again, from Bob Spencer on #hockey.com, and as well your Twitter account is Boba Fenwick, right?
Yep. Boba Fenwick, that's me. Our podcast is at HTH Pod. My personal Twitter is at Boba Fenwick. The blog is #hockey.com with the word hashtag spelled out. You can find our podcast right now on iTunes. We're working very hard to get that expanded to other platforms. There's one other thing, if I could just make one other quick plug. Yep. I am in the process of starting my own business, which I'm super excited about. Never done this before, taking quite a leap. It's going to be a board game cafe, which you guys are up in. One of you is up in Canada, right?
We're both from the Toronto area.
So have you guys been to a place called Snakes and Lattes up there?
Yes.
Cafe? So
yes, I
picture
have.
Snakes and Lattes, but over here in Minneapolis. So huge board game collection, hundreds of games, gourmet coffee, craft beer, super good food. I'm still in the very early planning stages right now, but I'm trying to get the word out. Soon to have a website. I'll probably incorporate it into my blog, but if people are interested, they can follow at Boardroom BGC. That's Boardroom BGC, and that's kind of my next project. I'm moving out of the hockey world and into the board game cafe world. So, very excited if people could check that out.
All right, perfect. All right, good luck with that then. We'll see you later. All right, and time for Paul, your fantasy up and down. What do you have for us?
I'm going to go with no one over 30% owned in Yahoo. Okay. Three guys that definitely should be picked up. They're on hot streaks. Alexander Wenberg, center for Columbus Blue Jackets. 6 games in the past 2 weeks. He's ranked 25th overall. No goals, which might hurt, but if you're hard up for assists, 8 assists in those 6 games. So it helps they blew out the Canadians a couple games ago. But yeah, Wenberg's getting the ice time.
He's playing really, really well. And you added him already, right?
I did add him already. So yeah. Pavel Buchnevich is also playing on a team that is just scoring lights out right now, the Rangers. 7 games played, 49th ranked overall, 6 points in those 7 games. He's getting 15 minutes of ice time, and it just keeps going up. He is left wing and right wing eligible and only 5% owned, so he's very likely available. So pick him up and ride the hot streak, and once the Rangers fall off their 5 goals per game streak, then drop him and pick up the next hot guy that I'll tell you in 2 weeks, in 2 episodes from now. So this is kind of what the fantasy up and down is all about. We're not going to tell you to pick up guys that are already likely not available because they're stars. Like, nobody drops stars, nobody picks up stars. Damon Severson, defenseman, 29% owned. 5 points in 6 games. He's running the power play on the New Jersey Devils and looks good doing it. He basically has taken over Adam Larsson's position from last year. And Larsson was starting to heat up last year, and now Severson's just basically taken it over, and they've added Hall onto that power play, and it's a very good power play. So Damon Severson.
You knew he would step it up and start playing better and better. So
and he had a great season last year in the AHL as well. So 3 guys that I'm gonna drop that are over 50% owned. You might be shocked by this one, but Mark Stone out of Ottawa.
All right.
He's 70% owned. 12 games played this year. He's ranked 400th in Yahoo. There's no reason a 400th ranked guy should be on a roster. Drop him, watch him, put him on your watch list, and if he starts getting hot again, then go back and pick him up. 5 points in those 12 games, not good. He's not getting any power play points, and only 20 shots on goal, so it's not like he's being snake bitten and not scoring because he's not shooting. He's shooting, he's just not scoring. So next guy, Louis Eriksson in Vancouver, thought to be the guy that has awesome chemistry with the Sedins, and he's got 5 points in 14 games.
Oh my god! If people still have him, you got problems.
56% owned, Peter. People still have him. Get rid of him. He's plus minus is -3. That's not helping. Only 2 power play points, only 20 shots. It's not very good. And a defenseman, if you're going to go get Severson, drop Matt Niskanen. I saw him 65% owned. There's no
Wow.
way he should be owned that much. Not in deep leagues, not in 6 defenseman leagues. Like 12.
You know,
if you have a 12-team league and you have 6 defensemen, that's 80 defensemen. He's not top 80 defenseman right now.
yeah. I feel that a lot of people just don't look at their defensemen. You know, I don't sometimes. I'm always looking at my forwards and going, oh, this guy's cold. I've got to change him, or this guy's on fire good. But defensemen, it's like, yeah, I'll look at them once in a while kind of thing. So
You shouldn't have a defenseman that you're not. There's enough 35-point plus defensemen out there that you can find. Matt Niskanen, I don't think is going to get to 35 or 40 points. So he shouldn't be on your roster.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for that, Paul. And we'll see some more Fantasy Up and Down in 2 weeks. All right, time for the Twitter poll that we posted out there. Thank you for whoever did vote in the final results. So the question was, which Leafs rookie will finish the season with the most points? The 4 options were, of course, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and Nikita Zaitsev. I was quite shocked that Nylander won almost by like a landslide at 52%. I think 1 or 2 people voted for Zaitsev. He got 5%. A handful voted for Austin Matthews at 17%. Mitch Marner, 26%. But Nylander, 52%. Paul, did you also vote for Nylander, just like I did?
I did.
Wow, so there you go. I think, and I had a few people even message me and Twitter message me and saying that they did vote for Nylander. Why is that? I don't know. Is it just that because Nylander has 20 games more experience?
Maybe a little bit older.
Yeah.
Maybe has Babcock's confidence a little bit more because of last year he got to play a little bit.
I think I haven't looked at the stats recently, but I do believe Nylander was on fire on the power play, and he just looks like his hockey sense and vision, especially on the power play, is better than any of the Maple Leafs for sure right now. Better than a lot of players out there. So that's helping him put a lot of points on the board. And again, Matthews, you're going to find stretches of coldness maybe out of Marner and Matthews. And yeah, Nylander just seems more consistent to make good plays. Even though I think in the last few games the Leafs haven't put up a lot of points, especially from the Nylander and Matthews line. But they're consistently getting good chances. So they might not be putting the puck in the back of the net, but they're consistently getting good chances. So I'm a little shocked that it was 52%, but I'm not that surprised that Nylander was the number 1 option.
So what do you think the difference of scoring will be like? Rate your 1 to 4 of these guys.
Yeah, so I'm still thinking Nylander. But I'm gonna go with Marner and Matthews, as long as, depending on what happens with Marner. If he stays on in what I call the top line with JVR and Bozak, right now him and Marner and Bozak are clicking amazingly. And I still think JVR is not even playing 100% of the way he can. So if he does, the line will be even better. But there's also the question mark, if the Leafs do collapse and they go to, a lottery roll spot, then a guy like Bozak will probably get traded. And why not? If he's getting a lot of points right now with Marner, his value is high. It's time to trade when your value is high. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. And then the edge goes again more to Nylander getting more points if he's getting more ice time, more power play time, and with better players.
So, yeah, I would go Nylander, Matthews, Marner, Zaitsev.
Yeah. So that's the question mark with the 2 and the 3. But with Marner and Matthews, which one and where will they be in the lineup for most of the season? So I'm a toss-up between Marner and Matthews. Right now I'm going with Marner as the number 2, as long as there's no trades and a lot of shifting in the lineup. And yeah, Zaitsev, of course, number 4. But again, he's a defenseman, and he's still playing very well, especially even offensively. He's getting the puck to the net. And it's working, and it's making sure that the Leafs are getting those rebounds. So I don't know. They're playing well. That looking pretty good with the kids. But did you hear about this? I heard a rumor that some people are calling Marner Mitz Marner.
Oh God.
Well, you don't like that one, Mitz Marner. He's got beauty hands.
It's true. He does have really nice hands, like hand model hands.
Yes, like they are beautiful.
Can we just call him Mitz then? Like, why does it
Yeah.
have to be Mitz Marner? Like, just
No,
call
no,
him
no.
Mitz.
Yeah, we can just call him Mitz. Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
Captain
All right.
Universe, Mitz, and what was Nylanders? What did we come up with Nylanders?
A lot of people are calling Will Nye the goal scoring guy.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I think I heard that from Adam Wilde and Dangle. Those guys are calling him that. So I don't like that one that much. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's all right. I don't mind just calling him Will Nye, because I was calling him something like that when he first started. I just call him Willie. So we'll see. What do we have for trades and signings, Paul?
There's a trade. Dylan Micklerath got traded to Florida for Steve Kampfer and a conditional 7th round back to the New York Rangers. So Florida's just adding to their defense pool. Mike Matheson already looks good. Dylan Micklerath can probably come in next year. I don't think he'll play for the Panthers in the NHL. I think he'll play down on their AHL team. Mm-hmm. But he was expected to be a decent puck-moving defenseman for the Rangers a year or two ago. He was projected to be really good. So I don't know if they just fell out of love with him and they just decided to move on. But I don't think Steve Kampfer is going to do any better than Micklerath. So I think they just I don't really know what the reasoning for moving Micklerath out.
And is Matheson still getting a lot of minutes in Florida?
He is. He was. He's getting 3-on-3 minutes in overtime. So
wow. Yeah.
All
right. And then the big signing, finally, Jacob Trouba signs for the bridge deal. Pretty much $3 million, 2 years. I'm quite shocked that it's that low. I remember we were talking about it last year. He wanted like $6.5 million for 6 years.
Do you think they kind of talked him into making it a movable contract?
That's the thing. I'm still thinking that they said that he's a Winnipeg Jet, and he said that he's going to play for the Jets. I'm still thinking that they will still have him on the trading block.
I believe so too, yeah.
So I will not be surprised at all. Maybe not in the first month, but at least in the next 2 to 3 months, that he will be moved. I'm banking on that probably happening actually.
Let him get some minutes in, time. Some play time, show off what he still can do, and move him out.
Yeah, and again, he was between a rock and a hard place, right? Like December 1st, he had to sign a contract and play somewhere before December 1st, or he wasn't able to. He wouldn't be eligible to play for the rest of the year. So that's hilarious, but it's true. He has to play. He can't just sit there. So tough. And do we have any injury updates, Paul?
Yeah, a couple injury updates. A bunch of guys returning. UC Jokinen is back tonight, Thursday night, from a knee injury. He missed 9 games, I believe. Evander Kane was back in the lineup on Wednesday. He returned from broken ribs, so it might take him a couple games to get back going, but he played, I'm pretty sure, 22 minutes on Wednesday, so they definitely didn't just ease him in. Eric Haller returned Thursday against the Penguins. He missed 7 games with a lower body injury, and Jason Spezza is very close. He could play by the weekend, or by the time you're listening to this. They play Friday, Saturday, I believe. Yeah. Still out. Patrick Sharp is working out, but he's still week to week. Zach Parise is 70% healed. The soonest he's probably going to come back is Minnesota's next home game, which is November 15th. Brian Little's been put on IR, so he's out long term. Mike Smith, who was on IR, I'm pretty sure he's still on IR. He started skating, but he's still a few weeks away as well. A couple new injuries from this week or last weekend. Justin Falk is week to week. He injured his hand hitting Taylor Hall on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
So it could open the door for Noah Hannafin. That'd be nice to see. Seth Jones took a skate to his skate. He cut the top of his foot in a hairline fracture. He's out at least 3 weeks. Kind of weird how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Anisimov upper body injury.
Ooh.
Yannick Hansen fractured ribs. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. And then, Vander Kane came back, but then Ryan O'Reilly didn't play Wednesday night, and Tyler Ennis went for groin surgery, so he's going to be out for a while. And Eichel, I believe, is skating, so they're going to get Eichel and Kane back, and they lose Ennis for a long time, and O'Reilly, so they're not really getting that much healthier.
Mm-hmm.
Marco Scandella, we were talking about the Minnesota Wild with Bob Spencer. High ankle sprain. He's on long-term IR, so that definitely hurts the back end there.
Mm-hmm. Did you mention Jonathan Drouin?
I did not mention Jonathan Drouin.
He's still out, and it's bothering me because I was expecting him to play really well this year and step it up this year, but he's been out, and they don't know when he's coming back.
Yeah,
he's been out for a while now.
Day-to-day guy, yeah.
Yeah, but he's been out for a while now. And then for the Leafs, I think I just heard that they said Matty Hunwick is off the IR, so he might be playing soon.
Interesting.
For Leafs. Yeah. All right, and that's it for this episode. Hope you liked it. Next episode, we're going to be team ISOing the Columbus Blue Jackets. We want to do a compare of who is better as a two-way setup man, Anisimov versus Simmons. We're not sure if we're going to do that now with Anisimov's injury. Hopefully he comes back, but we might be doing that. If not, we might change it up and pick 2 other players. And then we're also going to get a fantasy tip from Paul. All right, that's it. Again, go to jablamhockey.com. You can always check all our team ISOs there, as well as all of our episodes, our game notes from every episode. We have a lot of them again for this week. And also go on Facebook and subscribe and add to us on iTunes for the podcast. See you next week.
Bye.